Okay, so in this video, we're going to change up how we're accessing the numerator and denominator out in this main class, okay? So right now, we're accessing it via dot notation, which is generally a bad practice compared to using getters and setters. And I'll show you guys how to write those. So if you just write public int get numerator, and all we want to do is return numerator, okay? And we also want to make public int get denominator, and we want it to return denominator, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to modify the access modifier of these instance variables. So right now they're public, and we're going to make these private. So we're going to make that private, and we're going to make that private. And now that they're private, you'll see that over in the main class, that numerator has private access and fraction. So we're going to fix that by saying get numerator, and we're going to do the same thing for denominator. We're going to say get denominator, and then we're going to replace it down here as well. Place it right here. And you may be wondering, well, why would I do this? Because that other way was a lot shorter. And that's a good question. And as an example, we're going to write the setter methods. So let's say public, and then the return type for this is void, because we don't need to return anything. So we just need to say set numerator, and we're going to pass it in a new numerator. And all we have to do is say numerator equals new numerator. Or you could just call it numerator and then remember to put the keyword this out here. Okay? And then let's go ahead and write the same thing for the denominator. And actually, we'll use the keyword this for the denominator, okay? Just to show you guys what I mean. So if you remember this from the last video, then you're golden. Okay, so this is just how we did this in the last video, okay? So now what we can do is, that fractions, or maybe you've ran into this error where if you try to divide a number by 0, you get a divide by 0 error, okay, an exception, and then your console down here will crash. Well, what if someone tries to just say, like, this is going to give an error, so you may not want to type this. But if someone could just say my fraction dot denominator equals 0, and then later on you try to evaluate that, that's going to give you an error. So what we can do now is we can put some logic in this set denominator. We can say if denominator is equal to 0, we want to say invalid number cannot be 0. Okay? And then we'll say else. We'll do that, okay? So now let's just take a look at this. So let's just say my fraction dot set denominator, and we're going to say we want to set it to 0. Okay? And we know we just added code that's going to stop us. So let's just see what that does, and then we'll print that out. And I'm actually going to comment out this default fraction, just so we have a little less to look at. So let's run this. And you'll see that after I instantiated it at 7 and 9, I then tried to set the denominator. And when I set the denominator to 0, it let me know that that's invalid. And then rather than overwriting 9, it just left 9 alone, okay? And that's a really nice reason to use getters and setters. Some cases it would make sense in the design to leave an access modifier public, but we'll talk about that later on. But generally, I think you want these to be private, and it also looks a lot nicer because everything's kept inside there. And if another object needs access to it, you just ask the object using the getter or setter method, okay? And one thing, I know I didn't mention this, and I'll kind of mention this as we go through videos, like some cool tools the IntelliJ IDE offers. I'm going to comment out this set numerator method and just show you guys that if you hit Alt Insert, you can click on generate, and so we just commented out a set numerator, so let's go to setter, and it knows that you may want to generate a setter for this, okay? So if you just tap that, it'll generate that code for you, okay? And you can do the same thing with getters. So if I just Alt Insert, or if you don't have an insert key, you can right click, generate, and then getter and setter, and you'll see those two, and then it just generated that code for us, okay? But once you get the idea and you understand what it's doing, then feel free to use that. But to type it out a few times, it won't kill you. But that's going to be it in this tutorial. And in the next video, we're going to talk about making this line a lot nicer, okay? So thanks for watching, guys.